if you're sending us a text message, 81333, 81333. Like I say, put your name on them as well as putting BBC at the start. We want your nominations tomorrow night for performance of the weekend and for something to hoy in the river. It's sort of an extended weekend, therefore I'm making the executive decision that if anything particularly special happens tonight, then it's classed as the weekend. So we're going to save those for tomorrow. That's the referees on the pitch at the moment, isn't it? That's
it is.
Hooper in the middle. Yes. Yeah. He's just waved to Troy Deeney. We'll name check the people that we can see around us. Let's start, we always do on a Total Sport, with the latest bits and pieces from Newcastle United and from Sunderland, of course, building up to a game tonight. We'll start with Newcastle, we'll come on to Sunderland later on, but we will bring Danny into this conversation as well at different points. Be out for, actually, Razor, we talk about the game tonight. A development this afternoon in an attempt to sign a striker by Newcastle United.
And a player that we've talked about for the last couple of weeks, and somebody that divides opinion, I think, among the Newcastle fan base. We've seen him play against them in the Premier League for Wolves, Jurgen Strand Larsen. He's now towards the top of the list of players that they want, and they've had a bid of £50 million for Strand Larsen, rejected by Wolverhampton Wanderers. Now, they may come back in with another offer, but it would obviously have to be an improved offer. Wolves are thought to not be in the mood to sell him, particularly at this late stage of the transfer window. That might apply to lots of players and lots of clubs. So we're in the final week now of the window, and Newcastle are still trying to replace Callum Wilson, never mind what happens with and around Alexander Isak. Strand Larsen, I know, and I think you'd give him a mixed report, wouldn't you, based on what you've seen. He joined Wolves on loan last season. It was made permanent this summer for 23 million. Last season he delivered 14 goals for them. He's a striker that is probably, you'd say, more in the mould of a big centre forward rather than a player like Yohan Wissa, who's maybe more about movement and clever and cute little touches and that kind of thing.
Yeah, so different throwback, isn't it?
Different profile, different type of striker to some of the others they've been looking at, but he's the latest one they've gone for and had a bid rejected for.
Yeah, look, it's got to that stage of this transfer window though where clubs don't want to be losing players because they haven't got enough time to go and get a replacement. So you can understand why. As Razor said, scored 14 goals last season. I've only ever seen him in the flesh when we've played against him, and would he be top of your list? Probably not.
No.
Probably not. But
the list is getting shorter.
The list is getting, it's getting exactly. So we'll have to see in that one. I mean, 50 million quid's been torn down. Will they go back with an improved offer? We'll have to wait and see.
One player that we know, Colin, is on the list is Yohan Wissa of Brentford. I mentioned him earlier. They've had 2 bids turned down by Brentford this summer. The last one was worth up to £40 million. Brentford's manager, Keith Andrews, has been talking today because they have a League Cup tie tomorrow night, and he said that Wissa won't be involved. But in Andrews' words, as far as I'm concerned, there's been no movement in any way, and I fully expect Yohan to be here come next Tuesday. That's the day after the transfer window closes. So Brentford's manager expects Newcastle target Yohan Wissa not to be going anywhere, which would be concerning. They've put a lot of time and effort into trying to get him. It's another one that's been prolonged, seemingly with no resolution in Newcastle's favour yet.
Yeah, and just one more on Strand Larsen before we move on to tonight's game, Ando. The numerical evidence of Newcastle's desperation, and Wolves acknowledging Newcastle's desperation, is that, as Razor just said, they signed it permanently for 23 million.
Yeah.
Suddenly his value's doubled. Now, his ability hasn't doubled in the space of 8 weeks, but what they can command for him, or what price he may end up moving for, will more than double.
Yeah, I mean, this is a conversation that we've had on Total Sport leading up to the closing of this window. And especially the situation that we're in, we haven't got a replacement in for Wilson. The Isak situation is still ongoing. We don't know what the outcome of that is going to be. Now, if teams know that you're in that type of state and you want a centre forward, okay, that's fine. You can have him, but this is how much it's going to be.
Yeah.
Because they have got you by the,
Yeah.
they hold all the aces, they hold all the cards. If you want them, You might not value him at this much, but this is what you've got to pay.
Yeah, Danny, I'll bring you in on this as well, because it is... I keep using the word desperation, and maybe that is unfair, I don't know, but the closer Newcastle get to the end of this transfer window, having signed none, never mind 2 strikers, they are, as a club, going to get more desperate and may end up throwing more money at a player than he is categorically worth.
Exactly that. I think Ando's hit the nail on the head there with what he said. I mean, 50 million, they've just put, 23 million they paid for him a few weeks ago, and people know the situation Newcastle are in and the ongoing saga with Isak. It needs sorting out, from Newcastle's point of view, put it to bed one way or the other, and get their heads on the season ahead. It doesn't help anybody. The players themselves will be unrest in the changing rooms, and they need to get it sorted, especially top end of the pitch where it's vital moving forward, because if you don't score goals, you're not going to win games of football.
Yeah, yes. We've had a message already, Razor, that says, please can we have an Alexander Isak free programme? He's not playing, and enough has been said for now. I've got bad news, Tony.
Do you know the build-up to this match, and unsurprisingly, because of the nature of this situation with his status as a Newcastle player and then the uncertainty about his future, because we still don't know what is going to happen. We know what Newcastle's position is and has been. We also know Liverpool's interest and the fact that they've had one bid rejected. They are yet to come back with improved terms, but the point made about time running out and teams wanting replacements before they let players go definitely applies here. But because of that, this match and the talk leading up to it, a huge game of football, always a special fixture in many ways. I had known more so than in March at Wembley, the last meeting between Newcastle and Liverpool. It's always a great occasion. It's been dominated by somebody who's not playing. Yeah, and we wouldn't expect him to be here either. So I think that is frustrating for Eddie Howe and for Newcastle. And at the press conference, and I was guilty of this because I asked 3 questions about him on Friday morning, the pre-match opportunity to discuss the game and other issues was dominated by talk of Alexander Isak. But look, realistically, we know that's going to be the case until this is resolved, and probably for some time afterwards. It's just really difficult to call it still. I think there's already a lot of feeling in this fixture, and St James's Park is an emotional place, as is Anfield, but I think Newcastle United fans feel really up for this tonight, and the added edge of Liverpool and Isak will definitely give them more, and probably increase the volume by a bit, and it could benefit the team. I think this place is best when it's angry and it's really absolutely full of it and full of hell, like it was against PSG in the Champions League, Arsenal to a good extent in the League Cup second leg semi-final last season. So that could really work in Newcastle United's favour, hopefully, or it could go the other way and it's just too much and everybody's too emotional.
Yeah. We'll come on. We'll talk a little bit more about the atmosphere closer to kick-off, and yes, it's that kind of that often talked about. The fans can get really, like you say, give it hell. The players have got to ignore the fact that the fans, the 50,000 fans around them, are giving it hell.
It's okay, the fans getting up for it, and look, with the fact that it's been a bank holiday as well, and it's been a lovely day, great day. People will have been out and about early, and will be psyching themselves up. But I don't think players can get involved. Players can't get involved in that emotion. They've got to keep their emotions intact. Look,